All right, guys, just quickly, because I need to break this system down, because I know when we are talking about, okay, my goal is to make 350 US dollars in the next, between 350 US dollars and 1,750 US dollars in the next 120 days. And from there to the time when I hit the 38-week mark, I want to make sure that I'm making at least 10,000 US dollars. Looks like a big claim. This is something that I think is something that I've already done before, and is something that I think has been proven by not only myself and my business partner Chucks. Is something that I think a great deal of people are already doing it, and I just want to quickly show you kind of like the thinking process behind this, and how quickly things can actually turn around and become a little bit more serious earnings for you. And I just want to quickly kind of like show you guys the kind of like break down the whole system, the way how this whole thing is going to work. All right, okay, so the whole concept of this business is based on the fact that I'm going to start a blog, and I'm going to give you an example, like the way how we did when we started the blog. We started it like like this, and for you guys who are new to blogging, probably maybe your thinking process is that when we start a blog, like when we started this, it would be that you are just gonna churn content, and the blog is gonna make the kind of money that we're talking about here. I did mention in the video, or I'm mentioning in the video quite a lot about multi-revenue streams, which means there will be more than one way of making money on the blog that I'm talking about. So in this case, the first level of making money is going to be when we write articles like this one. This one monetized it with what we call affiliate links. So you become a content publisher on this blog, and the first step, or the first level of monetizing money using this system is going to involve monetizing the blog using affiliate links. These affiliate links could be CPA offers from CPA networks, or it could be from affiliate links from Amazon, which means you become an associate on Amazon, and then you promote those products on these blogs. And that's the first phase of monetizing this. And the second method of monetizing this blog would have been AdSense, which I am not going to dwell much on. So AdSense is a Google advertising network. You display ads on your blog, and they pay you for every click that a customer has clicked to go to either an offer or a different website. But in this particular case, we are going to dwell much on the two main revenue sources that I think matter most when you're building an online. We have a huge email list. We are talking about over 60,000 subscribers who are actively engaging with emails and content that we send to them, and that also doubles our earnings once we've built that email list. But the one thing that I want to concentrate on about is the business, the business portion of the blog, because having this blog, like I've said, a lot of people assume that the blog itself is the business. We've built a business on top of this blog, and let me show you, for example, like if this product here, this is what we call a branded product, which is white labeled. So it's manufactured in the US and is supplied to customers in the whole world. So let's assume that if you launched your own product like we do, and you launched this product here, what this product does is it creates an opportunity to earn even more. But we've got our own way of kind of like first trying to find the best products that we can white label, and once we've white labeled that product, and then we go on and speak to manufacturers in the US, and they manufacture the product for us, and then we go on to promote this product to our customers. So the concept is very simple. Honestly, it's not even complicated. What actually happens is that when we are promoting our products to our email list or on our blog, we don't just promote any product. We strategically pick products that we want to promote, and as we are promoting those products that we are promoting to our audience, we make sure that we are building a community, which in this case we're building a very well engaged email list that's ready to buy. So once we've built an email list, we have a blog that kind of like creates a complete system now where a distribution or network has been put in place for us. And what that allows us is that when we are ready to launch our product, like did on this product, then all we have to do is just prepare our community for the launch, and launch the product like here, and send the offers to our audience. And what this allows us is like in this case, okay, so let me show you. If you click this button here, it's going to take you to a website. So I need to explain something. This is a blog, all right? This is a blog. Where you are now, this is what we call a blog, all right? And if you click this product now, it should take you to this, and this is what we call a website. This is where now a product that has been created on top of the blog is being sold and delivered to the customers who are buying. So as you can see, with this system now, we've managed to build a business on top of the blog by launching our own products. And it's not just this one, but there's more than a handful of products that you can actually create and start launching. So strategically, we pick maybe 10 or 15 products that we want to launch, and we launch one product after another. But in this case, like I've said, you have set goals. This is why when we are launching a blog, or when we are starting to create a blog as a business, we have to sit down and sort of like come and set up short-term goals as well as the long-term goals. And in this case, the long-term goal is okay, we want to get to a point now where we have launched 10 products, and out of those 10 products, at least each product is shipping out every month at least about 1,000 units. And if you do the maths, like in this case, this is if you do the maths properly and see how much money this product is selling for, then you would notice that if we ship only let's say at least if we ship only 1,000 units, you're talking of at least 50k that you've made out of one product. So let's say if you have 5, 10, 15 products per website that you launch on top of your blog, if you're very strategic, you'll notice that this business is easily scalable up to somewhere around $1 million or so over time. So that's the kind of the way, or maybe the way how we set long-term goals and short-term goals. And we have our own way of picking products. And if you haven't noticed, you'll notice that this product is also one of the top rated product on Amazon. And if you go on Amazon, you find that this product is selling very well on Amazon. So whatever we do, we make sure that Amazon is a part and parcel of what we are doing. And most of our products that we are selling, we use global distribution, so we can sell in India, in Canada, in America, in Australia, in UK, in Ireland, even in South Africa as well. What allows us, even as a small business owner, to be able to do that is the power of Amazon. We use other people's resources like Amazon. We use their distributional network to deliver our products, which means we don't have to kind of like have to go and build our own warehouse in India, or build our own warehouse in Canada and stuff like that. We can use an existing network to deliver the products and services that the customers who are in Canada are buying from a small business. So that's what we are doing, and that's the kind of information that we are sharing in this training. That's the kind of experience that we want to share with you guys, so that you can follow along and see what is happening, how we are picking the products that we are listing, and how we are using these massive resources and companies. These are Fortune 500 companies. They've got all these resources that could be used to leverage for your small business to compete on a global platform. All right. So, like I've said, guys, there's a link below this video, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and claim that free trial that we are offering in this video, as well as when you are setting up your blog. We are giving you that trial so that you can kind of like figure it out and see if it's something that you could try and do. Okay. All right. Cheers. So I'm gonna talk about how to start blogging when you are not an expert. I think um, there's quite a lot of misconceptions around starting a blog, and I believe that everybody has a potential to become successful at being an entrepreneur, and in this case, launching a blog. So the whole idea is I've just set out to illustrate this for you. In my free training, I teach people the basics of starting a blog, and then I will bring that blog to profit. So let's say I've been feeling strongly about documenting my entire process of building, launching, and running a profitable blog as a business. That way I feel like you guys can follow along and probably look at the process of that I usually go through to making decisions, and probably maybe all the experiences, including the not so good times, challenges that I face along the way, along the journey, and probably maybe this is going to sort of like inspire you guys to sort of like join in and take you to profit. So the main idea is starting a blog, and my goal for doing this is to make at least $10,000 in the next 38 weeks from the launch date, and I plan to achieve this by kind of like breaking my entire process into short-term goals and long-term goals. And my short-term goal is to make sure that I make in between $350 to $1,750. I specifically chose this number because running a blog involves a bit of expenses here and there, and because I also run a number of businesses on the side. I figured it out that if I'm gonna run this blog as a business successfully, I have to make sure that it is capable of sustaining itself whilst I'm busy doing the other bits and pieces, running the other businesses that I do. So I already have sort of like a very busy life. I've got businesses to run, and that kind of like takes much of my time, and I would like to mimic this lifestyle that I've got as somebody who has what we would call a 9-to-5 job. Because if you are working, you have a permanent job, and you want to start a blog as a hustle, sort of like a side hustle. Obviously you're gonna need working on your blog as part-time, but in this case it means allocating times where you usually don't see a lot of times to carry on a new project and start working on that. So my goal is to make between $350 and $1,750 within the first 90 to 120 days from launch date. That way I have the business supporting itself while I'm scaling it to the $10,000 a month in the next 38 weeks or so. If being able to achieve this goal, I will be able to sell off this business for a lump sum. And if I do the maths correctly, according to similar businesses that are selling online, obviously it means if I bring this blog to the $10,000 a month like I intend to, then I would be able to make at least $120,000 per year from this blog. And if I make $120,000 per year from the blog that I'm going to launch, obviously that would allow me to list this this business and sell it for twice the annual earnings, which means I would be able to earn somewhere around $240,000 from the sale of the blog. And obviously, if I manage to do that, I would be able to reinvest that kind of money into either a property, and that would be anywhere in the UK. It could be a good 2 or 3 bedroom property if I'm buying outside of London and stuff like that. And obviously that could be either I'm buying from I'm buying in Birmingham, or maybe even in the northwest in Manchester. Okay, so I also kind of like need to be clear that I don't believe, or I don't see myself as a genius, and I'm not necessarily as different as you would think from any of you guys. I'm just an average guy who is ambitious and probably maybe driven, always trying and testing new ways of finding solutions online and things like that, and making a success out of that. I'll be running this business in addition to my already busy life, like I've said. So if you guys have a 9-to-5 job which is not related to e-commerce or something like that, you will understand that I probably will have to work hard on this project after work, or I may need to sort of like give up a few hours from my weekend, just like many of you guys who have jobs. If you're going to jump in along with me and try to look over my shoulders and sort of like fall along and follow the steps that I'm taking to making this happen, you would have to give a bit of hours out of your normal working hours. I've got a sort of like a video set out for you guys that's got a surprise in it, and the one of the first bribe that I'm going to give you guys is I want to challenge you guys that if you want to tag along and try and follow along with me, I'm going to give you an opportunity to set up your own blog on your own server. I'm going to give you a coupon where you can redeem free web hosting, because one of the most expensive stuff that you need when you are setting out a new blog is the web hosting. So because you guys have already taken a massive step in watching this video, and if you want to jump along and tag along to this journey, you do need to have your own blog hosted somewhere and sort of like follow along with what I'm doing. So I'm going to give you a trial coupon where you can set up your own blog, and you have 30 days free web hosting that you can set up your own blog and start following. Obviously, you should be able to watch some of the tutorials that I've lined up for you, because I will be launching this from ground up. So if you've never used WordPress, if you've never installed a website, or if you've never done anything online, as long as you know how to use Microsoft Word, if you can compose an email and send either a tweet or something like that, you should be able to follow along and do this. So starting a blog, sort of like it sounds so simple, However, the one thing I've learned over the years is there's a common misconception about the ideal time for somebody who is planning to sort of like start a blog should be, and I see people from time to time asking me about it. Some of the common questions I usually get, I would call them valid concerns any new blog beginner would have, but others are just plain ignorance and probably maybe just playing it dumb. Often people say, I don't really know what to blog about. I'm not really an expert in anything, so I'm not sure what I will be blogging out. So technically, the gist here is they're saying that they want to start a blog. They may even have already actually set up their blog, or maybe they're just thinking about getting started in the blog, but they just don't know what to blog about. So the common challenge, like for beginners in the blogging industry, is they don't feel like they are experts in anything, or they might say something like, "Yeah, I want to start blogging about this topic, but that would have to be once I've learned a little bit of more information about this subject matter." And this is something that I hear quite a lot often, actually. Let's say you have just had a baby, for example, and whilst you were pregnant, you had put on a bit of weight, and you kind of like plan on losing that weight. While in your weight loss program, you might want to share the whole experience and everything you are doing, from the kind of food you're eating, the recipes that you are actually are using to cook the food, the workout routines you have in place, to all the tools and gadgets that you're using, like if you have Fitbits or any sort of like calorie monitoring gadgets and things like that. You could easily be sort of like wanting to share this. And in this case, the popular excuse for a mother or a new mom who has just had a baby, and she wants to sort of like go through this process, they might say, I haven't really produced any results yet, so I can't really blog about it, but I'm gonna have to wait. Once I see the results, then yes, probably maybe if I drop 2 or 3 pounds, then I might stop and start blogging about it. But for now, look at the way how I am, and I'm not sure if blogging about this is going to be a good idea. And to be honest with you, that's probably a noble thing to say, considering the fact that online, the online scene is full of unfounded claims and the BS that people share online. I completely understand the need for wanting to be genuine and legit. Some have said to me that they just don't really know what they could do, what they could blog about. But that would be helpful for people who are sort of like beginning. Usually, the issue is they kind of like question themselves. They question the idea: why would people want to come on my blog and read my posts if they are not, if I'm not even an expert at any of the particular topics that I'm going to talk about? why would people want to come and read about it? What would they learn? What would they benefit from such kind of blog post? Or another common misconception is they say something like, well, the only thing I'm really good at is the blah 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 blah. Or maybe they usually say like I'm good at doing this, and they could be filling the gap, or maybe with something that they do in their day job. If they are a nurse, or maybe a pediatrician, or they could be a doctor, or even a primary school teacher somewhere, and they would be like, the only thing I know is teaching, and the whole concept of me wanting to sort of like have a side hustle, or maybe break away from this, is just because I want to do something adventurous, something different, you know. In many cases, these guys are really good at what they do on their job, and maybe that's the one thing that, you know, that they are an expert in. But because they are, you know, they've had a job doing that thing for so many years, but you know, they just don't feel like it's something that they can actually sit down and blog about it, because they just don't see value out of it. For them, it comes so natural, it's so natural to them that they don't see any value out of it. And the other thing is, like I've said, the main reason for them is they want to change careers, so they could not do what they are doing. They want to do something new, something different from their 9 to 5. Obviously, that may be probably, you know, the job that they are doing as a 9 to 5 could probably be the last thing they actually do want to blog about, and they kind of like come up with so many excuses that they want to give you. The challenge is they just don't feel like they are experts. That's the main challenge. So all in all, those are the most common excuses that I think sometimes come up. Now, here is why I think a lot of people misunderstand the way how starting a blog as a beginner works, and the situation why they kind of like get stuck at this point before they even launch their blog could be probably maybe because of this misconception. If I don't know, for you guys, but right before they even start the blog, what they normally do is they are kind of like thinking that they have to be an expert at something that they are doing. All right, so let me just quickly demonstrate to you so that when I'm walking you guys through this process, at least you kind of like understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's say this is you're here, and you completely don't know much about anything to do with blogs. So at this particular stage, we might class you as somebody who is a newbie, somebody who is what we would call a beginner. All right, so as a beginner, you might sort of like be here, and you have what we would call an interest. This interest could be you want to start a blog, but the blog could be in anything that you want to start. So in this case, let me just give you an example. Like, let's say you want to start a YouTube channel. All right, and this is where you this is the position that you are at. So the common misconception is the fact that a lot of people assume that if you had to start that YouTube channel, you would have to be at this position here. This is okay. So this is the misconception that I was talking about. That for many people, they think that if you are going to start a blog, and that blog that you are starting is something that you really want to help other people either explore or maybe sort of like find solutions to challenges that they have in life and things like that. Okay. Okay, guys, so like I said, you're here. This is you. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about blogging whatsoever. You have no knowledge about any niche market or whatever, or you haven't even thought about which topic of a discussion you want to get into when you start blogging. And the idea or the thinking process for somebody who is starting a blog, especially those who have the misconception that I'm talking about, they think that they would be here, they would get to a point now where now they've found something that they are interested in talking about, or maybe this could be what we would call a niche market that they're interested to get into, and then from there they would have to move up to this point here where now they've become a beginner. And once they've become a beginner, they would have to spend a bit of time learning the process, or learning and understanding the topic or the discussions and whatsoever they would want to blog about, up to a point now they are able to sort of like gather more knowledge and understanding of what the topic is all about or what the subject is all about, and they become experienced and they are some sort of like an expert. And once they get to this point, they assume that once they become an expert, then they would have to get to a point now where they are okay, so they are experienced, and now they've become an expert, or what we would call they've mastered the skill now. You know, the skills are up to a point now where everybody thinks that, oh yeah, now I think this guy knows what he's talking about. All right, so they pick an interest, they're interested in something here. All right, once they find that they're interested in something here, then they move on to become a beginner. And at this particular point, more especially a lot of guys who are at this stage, they think now it's time for them to go and spend a lot of hours watching and reading other people's blogs, watching videos on YouTube, buying training courses and all the other bits and pieces that they can lay their hands on, spending a lot of time reading books and things like that to master, so that they can kind of like become a little bit more experienced, or maybe a little bit experienced in the topic that they want to get into. And then from this point, they think now they can move on to become mastered. You know, they have mastered the skill now. They know now that they are skilled in the industry that they want to get into, and start talking and discussing about that. And once they get to this point, now that's where now they think, okay, now it's time for me to start a blog. That's what a typical guy who wants to start a blog thinks like, or who is sort of like caught up in this what we call a misconception about starting a blog. And the reason why I'm sort of like trying to show you guys that this is a misconception in the first place is because unless you understand what is happening here, and you understand the whole process of getting started in blogging and why we do what we do from an entry point to an exit point is simply because there is what we call a blogging system. And what this blogging system, the way how it works is really simple. And like I've said, where it is, even as a beginner, and you are kind of like at this point here, right? Your interest could be in something that requires you to sort of like learn. Let's say you want to start a YouTube channel and you want to learn how to shoot a YouTube video, for example. All right, you would have to shoot that video and then edit it and possibly post it on your YouTube channel. But if we had to follow this example for setting up a YouTube, shooting a video, editing it, and then posting it to your YouTube channel, as an example, before you do even that, before you even shoot that video, obviously, you will first have to become a beginner who knows how to sort of like set some short and long-term goals for a YouTube channel. All right, that would be the first thing. So you have to understand that if you are going to start a YouTube channel, for you to move from here where you are to get to this point where now you are a master and you are able to post a video, assuming this was the process that you had to follow to get to a point where now you're posting a YouTube channel here, you would have to understand that moving from here to this point, that would be your first milestone. And moving from there to this point, the same as here up to here, all these would have to be milestones up until when you are able to post your YouTube video on your YouTube channel, right? So if that is the case, then you would have to understand that you would have to know how to set each goal that you would have to accomplish to move from a point where you don't know anything, you don't even have an interest in what sort of a YouTube channel you're going to set up, to a point now where you are interested in setting up a certain type of YouTube channel. Then from there, moving from just having an interest to becoming a beginner. But here's a kicker. Because you're setting a YouTube channel, you would have to understand how to brand your YouTube channel. You would have to understand how you would go about picking a niche market for your YouTube channel. You would also have to understand stuff like how will your YouTube channel make money for you? What kind of equipment are you going to use for YouTube? And if you're going to take this the vlogging or becoming a vlogger as a business, what kind of video editing software would you require? How will you drive traffic to your YouTube channel? And if you have to have your videos viewed by people who are searching on YouTube or maybe online, you would have to know how to rank that video so that it goes and ranks on top of a search engine. So everything listed above would be something that I think a new YouTube vlogger would need to know or understand when he's starting a YouTube channel. All right, and if you were going to go and start a website or maybe a blog, like let's say maybe a WordPress blog, the same system applies, except this time you would have to understand, you would have to know how to set up and install WordPress. You would have to also understand how to set up, how to set some short goals and long-term goals for your blogging business. Like I've just mentioned to you guys that from the day I launch my blog to a day where now I have come to a point now that I've made my I've hit my 38 weeks target that I'm talking about. My blog should be able to make $10,000 a month. But before it makes $10,000 a month, what I want to do is I want my blog to be able to make between $350 or $1,750 US dollars. And the reason why I think that money would help me, the reason why I want to earn that money within the first 120 days, which is like 3 months from launch date, is simply because I know that I need help in running that blog. And I also have a bit of expenses like paying for web hosting, paying for a few other services that I need, a few tools that I need for the business. And if I'm gonna run that business, obviously I don't want it to sort of like dig into, taking money from my other business activities. In this case, if you guys, if you're following along, it means you don't want to be taking money from your salary or your paycheck to sponsor this business. Obviously, when you are setting up, when you're just starting off, you would have to spend a bit of money to get started. But if you have joined me by clicking the link below this video, there's a link there where you can claim a free web hosting that should give you an opportunity to save a great deal of money. And I've also said that at the end of this training video, there will be a surprise that I'm putting together for you guys. I'm planning on giving away a lot of tools that I think would cost you a great deal of money when you're getting started in your blogging industry. So there's a link below this video. Make sure you click that video, that link in the video description, and follow it and go and claim your free web hosting coupon, so that you can get your blog hosted for free. All right, okay. So yes, like I've said, you would have to understand how to set up and install WordPress. You would have to know how to to set some short and long-term goals for your blogging business, how to brand your blog. You would have to understand how to pick a niche for your blog, what sort of blogging tools will you use, and if you're going to start and build this blog as a business, obviously you would have to learn how to build an email list, and what sort of email list building tools and softwares will you need. You would have to understand how to drive traffic to your blog and how to rank your articles so that you can get as many people as you could to your blog. So this whole process is pretty much the same, just like if we are going to set a YouTube channel. So what you would do when starting a YouTube channel is pretty much the same as what you would do when starting a blog. And unfortunately, most people think that the cycle is kind of like it's like this. You have an interest, which is here, all right, and you're interested in something, and then you move on to become a beginner here. And after a couple of sort of like months, let's say maybe 3 or 6 months, then you move and then kind of like become good at doing what you're doing, and that kind of like also gives you an opportunity to kind of like gain a bit of more knowledge and stuff like that. Maybe after 1 or 2 years, then you would kind of like move from this point and become an expert. And you once you become an expert, now you're feeling a little bit more comfortable to call yourself a captain of the industry, and now you feel like maybe it's a good this is the best time for me to move from here now and go and launch my blog, start my blog, and start making money online. The logic is that they need to first have an interest in something and become a beginner to start doing it, and that would move on to become to make them sort of like become good at doing that as an expert. Or maybe we should say once they become a master, then they can launch their blog to start blogging about whatever topic they have chosen. What I just illustrated is kind of how most people who are getting started in setting up a blog would think of what the blogging process looks like. They don't think that way from a conscious perspective, but I would just call that they kind of think that way, because their mind goes to when they think about a topic they are interested in, and their ability to engage with their audience. So when I meet people like this, and I mean because I kind of like speak to a lot of business owners who don't actually even consider blogging as a distribution channel that's available for them. And so if I ask them like, okay, well, what kind of stuff are you interested in, and what kind of stuff do you have a passion for, and they start thinking and saying, well, I've been thinking about becoming maybe like in this case, for example, they would be like, I've been thinking of becoming a vlogger. I've been thinking about starting maybe an evening workout club. Or maybe sometimes they say, I've been thinking about running, starting a running club for new moms. I want to do a mad running marathon or something, something that I want to try and kind of like mobilize new moms and try to do that as a new moms running club. So they're kind of like at a stage, like here, where they're just harboring an interest in something. They haven't even started yet, but they're just harboring an interest. So this could be here at this stage where they are now. Okay, at this stage in their mind, they think, I really can't blog about this. I'm not an expert, and they think an expert. They think becoming an expert at the what they are doing comes first, so that they can actually go and launch their blog. And this cycle of back and forth eventually ends up going into cycles of months or even years sometimes with nothing to show for. So here, what I want to show you guys is the actual process of how starting a blog works. All right, and you know, let's say you have an interest in something specific. All right, it could be you are interested in starting a blogging, you know, a blog, or maybe a vlog, or you are interested in running right here. All right, guess what? You can start a blog about running even if you've never run a marathon, even if you've never run a mad marathon, if you've never launched a YouTube channel and you are just thinking you've developed an interest in launching a YouTube channel, you can start blogging. All right, and if you are a beginner right here, you can start blogging as well. If you are an experienced blogger, guess what? You can start blogging as well. And you are a captain of the industry, you can equally start blogging, no problem. All right, nothing wrong with that. All right, as soon as you have an interest in starting a YouTube channel, for example, here, let me pick a different color here. All right. Okay, so like I was saying, guys, you can actually start blogging about your journey to starting a YouTube channel, even if you're at this particular position right here. If you're just interested, you can start documenting your and putting together your thoughts and everything that you've got by starting a blog. The way how it really works is that you start a blog at this point, right? When you're starting a channel, or if you're starting a blog, you start it from a perspective of having only an interest in how starting a blog works, or how starting a YouTube channel would work at this particular point. And then once you become what we call a beginner here at this stage, you can also start blogging about it. You know, at this stage you would be doing it, you know, on a perspective of a beginner. You know, if you're going to do each and every blog that you post from a beginner's perspective, obviously at this particular point, okay, let's say at this particular point where you only have an interest, you're just registering an interest. This is where I think would be a stage where now you are kind of like gathering the information of okay, if I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I want to set goals for that YouTube channel, what kind of goals I'm going to put together? Okay, who am I going to speak to? Somebody who has done this, somebody who has started a YouTube channel and they've done exactly what I'm trying to do, and I want to find out how they did it. How do I find 10 people that I can speak to who can help me in doing this? Because the only skill you're going to need when you're starting off a blog, or when you're starting off a YouTube channel, or whatever business you want to start, you're going to have to look up to somebody who has done what you are trying to do. They have experience, they've been through what you're going through, or what you are trying to put yourself through, and they are going to be able to kind of like give you pointers, give you tips. You see, the funny thing is, a lot of people think making money online or building a business online is all about themselves going into the trenches and digging and finding loopholes and tricks and whatever. That's BS. That's BS. Businesses these days are so cheap to build simply because technology allows for us to actually look at an existing business that's generating millions and millions of money, and by just looking at their business model, we can actually get exactly the exact blueprint of their business model and implement it on our own business and start making our own money as well. And that's the beauty of an online business. And that's why in this challenge, I'm so confident that by starting this challenge, by the end of the 38 weeks that I've set a goal myself to achieve, making $10,000 every month using the blog, I'm going to make money. I'm going to make it work. I have no doubt about it. And it's not just because I think I'm so smart, or maybe I'm some kind of a genius. It's something that everybody is doing online. It's something that everybody is finding success at doing. And the reason why a few selection of people are not doing it is simply because probably maybe naturally people just want to stand by and clap for other people who are doing good in their life, maybe. So like I've said, guys, if you are going to start blogging, it doesn't matter whether it's at this position or here, or at a position of an experienced blogger. From this point, you would be blogging on a perspective of an experienced person. The only difference, the only thing that's going to be slightly different from these positions, even up to this point, is that your perspective, your perception of the industry and the kind of knowledge that you will be sharing to your audience would be dependent on how much you know at that level. So at this point, this would be what I would call information gathering, and kind of like just probing, trying to find out what kind of information do you need. And when you get at this point now, you're sort of like this is a point now where now you are putting together you are reflecting in how you had to struggle to set up your WordPress, or maybe sharing a bit of excitement of installing your first WordPress and installing plugins and all these other bits and pieces, and writing your first post and all the other bits and pieces, and you move on from there now to this point. This would be probably, maybe in my case, that would be probably halfway in between the 38 weeks that I'm talking about. So by this time, I would have already started probably maybe making between £6,000 and £8,000 $8,000 a month out of my my blog. So if that's the case, it means I would have already started applying some advanced revenue streams, because the good thing about a blog is that it gives us multiple levels of earning or making money out of our blog, and at each and every stage that we are talking about here, there is a monetization level that you can apply. So you can start a blog at this stage here and still apply monetization and start making money right from this point. And when you are a beginner here, you can also make a bit of money out of here. The only difference is that the kind of money you would be making here and the kind of money that you would be making at this stage and this stage is completely different. We are talking about 6 figures at these positions if the blog that you've set up is something that can actually make you some serious money. If you are in the right niche, these stages, they are stages where now you are kind of like tapping into the 6-figure monthly income out of blogging. So, and like I've said, over time, once you become good at vlogging, now you start blogging about whatever vlog that you are doing from a perspective of experience that you've had, as well as the skills that you've mastered. All right. Now, here's the thing. What this basically shows you is that you can actually start blogging right at every stage of the game. It doesn't matter if you have an interest in something, and if you are a beginner or if you're good at it, even if you are an expert, you can start blogging about it today at any position here. All right, you can start blogging at any position. The only differentiating fact is the fact that you are gonna have to decide at what position are you gonna start from, and this lays out for me the whole journey that I've set out to to start this blog that I want to launch and make the kind of money that we are talking about. And my goal here really is just to kind of like document the process that I do every day, so that I can show you guys the real practical system that runs on top of a blog, and the how the business makes money. So I need to kind of like demonstrate to you guys exactly what I'm talking about, and how this whole thing works. All right.